Hello, folks. We're back.
We are back.
I'm here with Owen of Organic Cardboard, and today we're going to talk about our top 4 of 2024.
Top 4 of the 2024. I'm just repeating everything Sean says. I'm his little parrot on the side of his shoulder.
I was going to say, were you a parrot in the former life?
Yeah.
So I've kind of pared my list down to mostly stuff that I've bought. That I'm the most happy with my purchases in 2024. Mm-hmm. So there may have been a few other things that I played. Like I played a couple of things with Owen that I eventually bought myself. I think one of the things on your list, and a lot of really good games with Owen too. So, but just to kind of narrow it down, I didn't want to do a top 10, but I think I backed only like 12 things.
Yeah, and we're talking about like just stuff that actually, because I mean, there's some new games that I know I've played some. For me, were new games, but they weren't games that came out in 2024 either.
Right, that always happens.
Still some that I'm really excited about, but we're not doing that today.
Yeah, in fact, I think a lot of games I played that weren't these new things that are coming in were older ones that I never got to before, like Sky Team and stuff like that.
Right.
So, I guess I'll lead us off.
Sure.
Is that cool with you?
I will allow this.
And should we go like 4, 3, 2, 1? That makes more sense, doesn't it? Okay.
Yeah, we're going on the low end first.
All right, so my first one is going to be Mistwind. It's also the one whose thumbnail title I like the best.
Oh, really?
You've Got Whale.
You've got yeah. That was pretty clever. This is one I actually never got the chance to play that with you yet either, though.
Oh, we played it, didn't we?
Did we?
With the whale. Yeah, you were in the review.
We sat and played. Yeah. Okay.
This one with the whales.
That's right. Yeah, we did play it that time. All right. Well, we can just cut that little bit out.
It had a deep impact on Owen.
Yeah. Literally, we played that game, and I've kind of forgotten about it because we played it once real quick. I played it once. Sean played it.
I'd played it. I'd played it a bunch of times. It's a great kind of family weight game. It's got some elements of area control that change up as you play it. It's got a real cool theme where you're on these flying whales. You gotta let go of. I keep thinking about whale waste and what happens as it's flying over a town.
Yeah,
it's a big animal.
Yeah. It kind of the aesthetic of it reminded me of Windward a little bit because you got the flying whale things. Only you've tamed them at this point, and you're not just harvesting them for.
It's a real clean game too. Like the map itself isn't all cluttered with a lot of information, a lot of cloudy kind of things and stuff. It's a real neat family weight area control game. Kind of. I guess south of Scythe and stuff in terms of complexity and stuff.
Yeah.
But it does have a lot of variable things that you can do. You can play it a couple of different ways, and you distribute the resources in different ways, and that makes it a unique play every time.
Cool.
So that's my number 4.
All right. Ready for my number 4, which is one that I showed this to Sean, and he really enjoyed it as well. And so this is actually Sean's copy over here at his place. So, Lord of the Rings, Duel for Middle-earth. Absolutely excellent re-implementation of the Seven Wonders Duel. A lot of fun. Nice, short, you can play this really quick. A lot of fun decision space. A lot of push your luck kind of. I consider it kind of push your luck a little bit because you can go these different, just like on Seven Wonders Duel, you have different avenues to win and things that you can go for.
It's hard to know which of those is going to present themselves more readily too.
And it's I really love even when I lose, I love rushing towards one of those. Like you get one of the ways instead of doing the sciences that you would do on Seven Wonders Duel is you can go for the factions, and you can get you have 5 of the factions, and you just need that last one, and the other person's trying to keep you from getting it. But if you play it just right, you can trick them in a way where they're just stuck, forcing, allowing you to have to get that last one, or they just screw you over at the end, and then they win with points because they were going for the point score the whole time. The points are really neat the way they did it. They simplified. I think a lot of ways they simplified this. From which Seven Wonders Duel wasn't very complicated. But they simplified it in a way with the point scoring thing where it's all just this kind of area control on this map. I just really like it. I love the theme. I love fantasy in general, but certainly anybody that loves fantasy is going to love the original fantasy that everything is pretty much based off of, which is Lord of the Rings. I think everything about it is so well done with the artwork and everything. Really like it. I love it. It's a great game that you can just get out. I literally got this out at a bar and played it on a very small table.
Oh,
and,
yeah.
Was able to, so it's not a lot of space.
We found that we can play that downstairs in front of the television on our little card tables and stuff.
It's cheap. It's cheap too. Anybody, and they and one thing I do like to re-mention that I think is just an excellent practice for this company. So who was the company? It was Repo's production that did this, but they have a special promo that you can only get in retail, which I did not get.
New.
I did not. I did not get. Well, I say only in retail. It's only in the stores, only in your local stores.
Like the initial release came with one of the places you can get taped to the front of it. Yeah,
and I think they may even be continuing that even past the initial release. I don't know, because our game store had a handful of copies, and they're still keep like
that's where I got that one.
Last time I was in there, they still had ones that had the promo, and I'm pretty sure they ran because everybody was buying it when they first had it. So like, I think that might even be from the new ones that they've got in since have maybe still had that promo with it. But I think that's just great. It's not a game changing thing. But if you're a completionist and you want to support your local game store, you can pay an extra like $10 or whatever it is, maybe not even that much more to get it, locally and support your local game stores.
Yeah, you pay some tax. Well, I guess you pay tax anyway, but you save some shipping. Maybe.
Yeah, and I'm a little bit of a whore for cheap prices. So like I'll go online, and it's hard for me to buy in store a lot of the times because I can get it so much cheaper online. Yeah. And that little bit of addition that they put in has made me kind of want to go back and buy it from our local game store.
I bought this right after we played it. Like I literally was sitting at the table.
Sean's undefeated in this game.
I decided I wanted to get. No, I actually got defeated.
Oh,
I took that to work. We had this thing where you go to work and you can play games and stuff for one day. It's sort of a holiday celebration they do. Yeah. And I brought that to work, and shout out to John Hatch who stopped my cycle.
Stopped his reign, his supremacy reign.
For every time he flipped over a card, it was one of those green ones.
You had like 4 games in a row that you won.
I
since the very beginning of it.
So. I won it every way you could win it too. Like once I won with the rings, and then once I won with the area control at the top.
Yeah.
I think what's interesting about that one too is that so Seven Wonders Duel has like 2 expansions, and it really fills out that game. Like with the expansions, it makes it even better.
Yeah.
And especially I don't know so much about the Pantheon. I only played with it like one time. But there's another expansion that like the Senate, I think, that fits the top. I really like that inclusion. That feels like it's already got all the expansions.
Yeah, I don't really know. I mean, I'm sure they could add some extra stuff into that, and I would certainly welcome it if they added any. I don't know. I don't really know what else they're going to add into it, but if they add some extra fun stuff, I would totally instantly buy it. So that's a good one. They did an excellent job. Nice little elegant game. Make sure you get that. Anyway. Make sure you get that Sean Ash shot in that game.
That's my thumbnail. Okay, so my number 3 is Forges of Ravenshire. Okay, so my number 3 is Forges. My number 3
Forges of Ravenshire
is Ravenshire. So this is my number 3. This is Forges of Ravenshire. I got to meet the designer of this and we played Castles of Burgundy, which is another kind of. It works in a really similar way as far as like the dice placement. It's not a direct copy in any way, but it's one of those where you're placing dice and the value of the dice determine kind of what you do and stuff. So this is a dice placement game, and he was a real nice guy. I really had a lot of fun talking to him, and that made me kind of. I wouldn't normally look at a theme like this. Like little animals aren't really my thing.
Yeah, well, sometimes you get past the themes once you get into the board game hobby, and I like the theme a lot. I'd certainly be attracted to it.
I accepted the theme.
Yeah.
It made for some funny moments though, because like one of the resources you got to collect is fur, and I think we're playing it.
Or
You're
leather,
yeah.
yeah, and you're like literally little woodland animals, and so you're like, where does this leather come from?
You got about halfway through. And
I guess
like,
the cows are the only stupid ones in there. You know, they're the only non-sentient animals, apparently.
So there were some interesting moments like that, but I thought overall it's a fun. This is definitely kind of a midweight game. It's got a little bit more complexity to it, so it's not something you break out with a family unless they're used to playing that sort of thing.
Yeah, definitely some AP prone moments in the game, but nothing like crazy. But you do have you'll have some moments where you gotta. We played a 3-player game of this last time, and I think we. At least I know at least Justin and I had some good AP moments with it, but really neat kind of combination of like figuring it. You kind of have this what's the North Sea Raiders of the North Sea kind of thing of placing and picking up. And the dice that you're using are coming. You're picking one up, and then that's giving you another section that you're doing actions with later on in that same round.
That's part of what I liked about it too, to have that multi-phase thing.
That combo kind of thing that it's doing. Yeah, very combo-tastic kind of game.
It had that thing too where you're gathering stuff, but you're gonna be using that stuff for something else later in the turn. So it's like you got to plan a little bit more ahead than just that moment.
You're upgrading and things like that too. You're upgrading your kind of like whatever combo of actions that are going to happen off of your dice when you're bringing them back. A really nice game. I would if Sean didn't have this, I'd certainly be prone to getting it myself. Really liked it as well.
The deluxe one was a little expensive. But I felt like they did a good job. It was a fun game. I don't mind if it's fun.
Yeah.
I hate buying a real expensive game and then going, oh, that sucked.
Yeah, and when you meet the designer and you like the design, you kind of feel like you want to help support, because that's what you're doing when you're backing games in general. Is you're
such a nice guy,
spending a little more usually to support.
I think the company or the brother, like it's a bunch of brothers that have the company. This is their second game that they've made.
Okay.
And for a second game, this is a really well done game, and the quality of the components and everything are really really
great. The only thing I would say is they probably could have picked a better front picture. I think this guy's a little goofy. They had some cooler looking animals in here, but whatever. The rest of the artwork I really liked a lot. So,
not down with the stoic.
Yeah. I don't know. It just looks a little goofy. But I actually like the picture at the top better than this guy. But I guess.
You got some like raccoon and some rabbits.
Yeah, you got the Guardians of the Galaxy raccoon in the top. Neat game. You're just making weapons, making shields.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
And glossing things over. It's good. It's a good game.
Yeah, I'd love to see like a series of games like in this same theme. That's kind of Redwall style theme. This was Redwall was a little bit too far along for Sean to have gotten into, but as a kid, that was a big book series that we grew up reading, and it was all about like these kind of medieval.
Anamorphic animals.
It was these little you're down there in the animal world with the mice and the badgers and all this stuff, and they're all warring with each other, and they have this whole medieval thing. So this is kind of fitting into that theme, and these are all the smiths that you're dealing with here. Really neat though. I liked it.
Forges of Ravenshire.
Okay, so my third favorite, I guess, for 2024. It's a game that I did not bring over. I didn't bring over all the big boxes because the last three of these are big box games. And those Harakiri, the Blades of Honor, and this was like set up in so first off, it's like a campaign game, like a RPG kind of campaign game, and it's set in like I guess like a feudal Japan. And it was this alternate kind of universe of horror and demons and things like that are coming out. But it's not so horror-based that it's like, it's not like dark. I wouldn't call the. I mean, it's got some dark things that are going on in it, but it's not really like a horror like that. Just super dark.
But a dark theme.
Yeah, it's kind of just more or less feels like you're these katana toting Japanese warrior people, ninjas and such, and bowmen and things like that. And it's got a really neat play with the way that they did the narrate. So they have like a kind of a narrative. Well, they have a decent amount of narrative storyline that's going on in it. Not as much as some games that I've seen, but still a fair amount of that. And you do like a 2-part where you are kind of adventuring and you're everywhere you're going and hitting these little quests and reading stories and stuff as you're doing that. And then that sets you up for more of like a dungeon crawl sort of esque kind of setup where you're got miniatures on a board and you're tactically placing them around and fighting with the enemies. It's just it just all flows together really well. I really enjoyed the story. I only played through like 3 full episodes of it, I believe, scenarios. And I wanted to get back into it too. It's hard with a lot of these campaign games to really sit down and dedicate the time to get through that. But I did still, and I do still now, still feel the drive to want to get back into that storyline, hopefully before I completely forget what's going on in it and have to just start all back over again. But maybe I'll start it with friends or something like that, because it works really well solo. And it's basically the same experience playing solo as you would playing with other people, but of course you don't have the the experience of having the shared experience with other people, but you're just sharing more or less the solo experience with somebody else when you're playing it. Really nice miniatures. It's a big box with another big box full of miniatures. I can't remember if they had a version of it that didn't have miniatures and maybe just did standees. I don't remember that, or I wasn't attracted to it if that was an option. I don't feel like they did. They've already had like another expansion series for that game come out too that I did back. I don't really know why I backed it because I've got so much content from the first set. But it's just got another set of like cool characters that you can play with.
Is that one that can be one-off or...
Yeah, most of these campaign games will have some kind of way for you to do a one-off scenario. And
to sort of introduce it to other people that won't be around.
Yeah, I can't remember if they really had a good set. I think that, they do have some standalone setup stuff that you can do, but if you're really going to experience that game, I think you should play like the first couple levels together or something like that, because the story, I think, really adds quite a bit into it. The quest is really fun. It's really fun the way they did it. You'll always be able to get like parts of your goals done and other things weren't reached. There's different kind of things that you can miss along the way, and then so it adds that replayability to it as well. Just a neat, well done campaign, and a cool kind of, again, feudal Japan style theme where you're going against this big demon shogun. Is kind of the big showdown at the end, that you're trying to get to this point where you're taking down this big evil shogun that took over the land from the emperor, and you're trying to save his son. You got the prodigy that you're trying to save, and you got to find where he's at and protect him, and everybody else has their own little dramatic stories that they're kind of dealing with in the middle of it. So really well done. Harakiri.
All right, so my number 2 game is going to be Deep Shelf.
Deep Shelf.
Is this
awesome.
Ninth Haven Games? Yeah, Ninth Haven Games.
I would have picked this if I bought it.
You backed their new thing, the dinosaurs, right?
Yeah, it's sort of their new thing. I backed
it's the most reprint. Yeah.
Yeah, I backed the most recent reprint, and it does have a new expansion along with it for Dinogenics. So these are the Dinogenics people. Who is Ninth Haven?
Ninth Haven Games.
Yeah, but go on.
Oh, it's a really interesting. I did a how to play for it. I don't think we did a playthrough because it's just too long.
Yeah,
it's a bit long. That's like literally my only criticism is it takes us we gotta plan 4 hours for it.
At least, yeah.
But boy, is it a fun 4 hours.
It's very engaging. I feel like completely engaged the entire time with all of the thought processes you're doing.
Especially, I don't know. I don't know. Venturing out to 3 or 4 players would just be like crazy. 2 players though, it is a lot of fun. That's the only way we've played it so far.
I don't know how much extra time it would really adding extra people in, because it does give you the time to figure out your next turn, and for the most part you're able to do what you want to do regardless of what the other person's doing, unless you really get in some kind of like contentious thing, you know, like if somebody's playing in a way where they're really trying to get in your way. But
yeah, well, they could maybe grab a tile, but there are more tiles available. But they could possibly grab a tile that you wanted, like they could explore someplace first, or
yeah.
But you don't really block each other.
Yes, this is a game with like a lot of asymmetric factions. You've got 4 in this base game, and then Sean went and got the 5th one, right?
Yeah.
The yellow submarine. There's a good couple Beatles puns that you can throw into this.
Definitely.
The yellow submarine and the kelp, because everybody needs some kelp.
The theme is really interesting because it's basically the planet's slowly falling apart or quickly falling apart, and we're trying to like gather up as much resources as we can before the Earth just like cracks in two, and then we fly off into space. So
This is a full. This is what do we say? This is a 3x game or something. There's no
exploit.
Unless you want to talk about exterminating the big dragon monster in the middle.
Yeah.
There's not really any extermination, but it's very heavy on exploitation. That's pretty much the name of the game. But you are expanding quite a bit as well.
You expand, you explore, exploit.
It's got it's got a really neat upgrade system that's similar to Eclipse, right?
Oh yeah.
With the way that you kind of upgrade your abilities and become even more asymmetrical. But man, it's just fun. It has a very RTS kind of feel to it, like a little economy kind of thing that you're building up as you're running around and trying to set yourself up to take over the territories. And I really enjoyed it. The action selection is really fun in the game too. Yeah. The way that you play with your cards
and what puts it over. We got a lot of games that we loved this, but what puts this over for me too is the production quality was really good.
Yeah,
like they did a really good job. Like the iconography is really clear. Their helpful instructions and stuff are really clear. I really like everything about the way they packaged this and stuff. I love the individual things that hold the different players' stuff. So when you go to hand it out, it's really nice. The insert's great, but the gameplay's even better. And
I love the way that you have this mechanism of you're playing two cards down to do actions, and then you have to lose one of the cards each round, so you have to kind of plan ahead for it. You lose a card and it comes back to you after the next round, so you're always retiring a card for a moment and then bringing it back, so you have to really plan out what you're doing, and it's just a fun thought process the entire time.
That's pretty unique too. I don't think I've seen another game with the 2 card thing where you're gonna where the next round you won't have one of those.
Yeah, you got one one's extra powerful for that round, and then it's tired and you gotta let it rest, and then it comes back, and that's really enjoyable. I like the whole thing, and it's fun grabbing resources and feeling like you're processing them and turning them into other things and going along with the production. You have little wooden everything's a meeple. It's not really wooden resources. Then the resources change, so you change them out whenever you refine them, and that's cool.
It's ripe for some 3D printing or Etsy upgrades for the resources and stuff. But I think this game, so I think this game fits in kind of a unique space inside of my collection, in that it does things a little bit differently, but it hits just right for Owen and I.
Yeah,
and I like.
It's a nice deep experience.
A lot of deep thought.
A lot of nice deep experience to keep on your shelf.
All right, that's deep shelf.
Yeah. All right, so my number 2 for the year is another big box game that I don't have with me today, but that's Andromeda's Edge, and that was the spiritual successor, whatever, to Dwellings of Eldervale. So if you're familiar at all with Dwellings of Eldervale, Andromeda's Edge is doing a very similar thing, but a very different feel, I see a lot of games that kind of do this where they say like we're going to reuse the same mechanisms and put a different skin on it. And I'm like, that's basically the same game. You know,
Yeah.
it feels like the exact,
Sometimes they come out
yeah,
being really similar.
it's like, and they're kind of doing that with Vindication right now. They've got to get on a side tangent. They're making Vestige.
Vestige,
yeah. And they keep saying like, oh, we swear this is like a whole new thing. It's different, and it's basically, from everything I can tell, it's Vindication with a sci-fi theme thrown on it. And like Vindication's just got different modules, and you've got a little bit. Anyways, it's so that's a thing where like, I want Vestige too, and I may very well still back it, but I feel like I'm going to be getting just a very similar experience, slightly tweaked. But I was surprised how different Andromeda's Edge felt. I was immediately attracted to the theme. I'm not like this crazy sci-fi kind of guy where I'm just like super attracted to always having sci-fi, but I love like like 4X games and a lot of those being space themed. And this one is, I don't know, I think you call it 4X, but it's still it has a lot of like, you got special little units that you're putting out doing different things. But the upgrades, I think that's the biggest thing that's different from it than Dwellings of Eldervale, is that you the way that you upgrade your board and the actions that you get, and you really start to get this chained tableau as you go playing that game. And the Raiders are a really neat addition. They made, instead of having the monsters from Dwellings of Eldervale, they have these Raiders that come in and attack you in different ways, and they're very unique. But anyways, with this compared to Dwellings of Eldervale, again, I went back and replayed Dwellings after having played a good amount of Andromeda's Edge. And while I still really enjoy Dwellings for what it is, it's overall feels like not nearly as engaging of an experience as Andromeda's Edge does. I think they just really took what Dwellings was doing and they stepped it up. And I'll still keep Dwellings. I'm not getting rid of that. I love the fantasy theme, and it does feel very different, but your actions are just a lot less. I don't know, like it doesn't feel like you can develop your actions nearly as much as you can in Andromeda's Edge. So
I liked that one better.
Yeah.
I like space themes anyway though. But I liked that one a lot. Yeah, we had a good time playing it. That was it's one of those that seems like it's a lot to pull out, but it didn't take forever to play. Like it didn't hang around too long.
No, not really. Yeah, it's got a ton of different factions in it that you can choose from, and the solo experience is a lot more developed than going back and playing the solo of Dwellings is a much more simple, again, less engaging kind of solo experience than you have during the one in Andromeda's Edge. So they just did a great job. They really knocked it out of the park with that.
Good job.
Good job.
Next up we have Skyrise. This is my number one game of the games that I've played so far in 2024. I just loved this game. I love the whole production. I have the slightly blinged out one with the actual buildings and stuff.
It's more than slightly blinged out. If you look at the base one, this is much nicer, right?
Yeah,
the base one doesn't have those.
It doesn't have the rise that it's just got like flat.
Does it still have all the same miniatures though?
No, it's cardboard. It's the game board itself is flat, whereas this is raised up on little plastic pieces to look like the floating city, and the buildings are like meeple kind of stuff. Yeah,
I think that really enhanced the experience, just the way that this looks on the board. I liked it a lot too. This was a really fun one.
It's a good take on the kind of auction, area control auction. So kind of mixture in there where you're slowly kind of increasing bids until you get to a spot where you want, or you can't go any higher.
Yeah, it's odd to explain until you play it. Once you played through a round or two of it, you start to get the feel for it real quick. But you're kind of like, what do I bet? Why am I betting on this? Which one am I supposed to use? How do I manipulate other people? So I think that's the big thing of the game, is learning how to manipulate who you're playing with, trying to get them to get spots that you want them to get and not get the other ones, and trick them into a way where you have when you really want to get that location that you're trying to go to, that you always have that kind of ready to.
And try not to get tricked yourself, too.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, there's some fun little choke points and things that you can do on the map. I think one of the better things, too, of it, though, is it's like I don't know if you'd call it a light game, but it's definitely not like full-on medium weight. If it's in the medium category, it's the lighter end of it.
Oh, I tend to, yeah, it is definitely really, really simple as far in terms of their mechanisms and stuff. You can play this with just about anybody. That's one of the reasons I liked it so much. Like, I love a deep shelf, but I can only play that with you.
It's much more tableable.
Tableable, yeah.
Tableable.
And you can go all the way up to 4 players, and it doesn't take forever. It's not harder.
Yeah, having a game that you can get out quickly, easily, and have everybody have an enjoyable experience is a huge plus. I'm always going to tend to gravitate towards, I think, those heavier games that take 3 or 4 hours. But it's always nice to have something, fairly short that you can get out. And,
yes.
And again, really pretty to look at. And when you're done, you have this like whole cityscape of stuff, and it's nice. It's really great production.
This seems like to me kind of like a gateway to crowdfunding games.
Yeah.
You start seeing games like this, they're like something extra in the production of it and stuff. Yeah, something.
Can you not buy this at retail with the deluxe components and stuff?
I don't know. I don't think so. Like, I think it's perhaps.
Perhaps.
Right. I know right now they'll have some leftovers because this just came out this year, so they probably have some more deluxes. But like the fellow we were playing with the other day had a retail version.
Right,
of it.
Smaller box.
And I've never seen the retail version on the shelf. This is one that everybody talked about for a little bit, like kind of like Deep Shelf too. I saw a couple of people talk about it as it was crowdfunding, and Forges for that matter. Yeah. All of these got a lot of attention on the front end, all of the hype part, and then nobody really gave it much attention after it came out. I don't know why that happens, except that there's kind of this constant newness and stuff. There are people always selling stuff. In this channel and Owen's channel, like, people aren't sending us stuff.
Yeah, well,
we got one thing this year.
Yeah, well,
and that's fine. But all of these games that we're talking about, we personally bought them, and we invested our own money, and we believed in it and bought it.
Yeah, we do this because it's fun, not because we're getting paid for it.
That's right. We just need to talk about this.
Yes,
with you.
We like to share our love that we have for these cardboard and plastic pieces.
But yeah, Skyrise, you can play this. This is great family weight. That's inappropriate.
I think so.
Yeah, it's a family weight game that you can play. It's kind of a little step up. It's not family weight like Monopoly.
You can probably always you can always beat your kids. Yeah, you're always going to be able to beat your kids at this game.
And what's great is you can play it really quick. So if you just totally decimate somebody the first time, you go, hey, maybe just make better decisions.
Re-rack it, yeah.
Yeah, make better decisions. Let's just put it all back, and then you're ready to go again.
Yeah.
Skyrise by Roxley Games.
Woo, number 1. All right. So my big final game is gonna have to be Primal: The Awakening. Man, that's such a cool game.
That and Harakiri I haven't gotten to play yet, so I'm excited to get those.
I know, and this is definitely one that you can one-off. They've certainly got that set up where you can one-off this one. It is sort of a campaign game. It definitely has a campaign in it. But this is what Monster Hunter should have been, I think. Now, granted, it's not in the Monster Hunter universe. You're doing a very similar thing, where you're going out, you're taking down these big bad monsters and getting pieces off of them and taking those back, and forging those into weapons and other gear and things that you put on your character to get to take on and go through a series of 10 of them in the campaign. It's got quite a few different monsters. There's different like directions you can go where you might miss some of the monsters and hit other ones during a campaign. And they all play very differently. The card play is kind of where this game's at. It's all about card play. You have hands of cards, and you synergize those with who you're playing with. If you're playing solo, you basically two-hand it. But the cards work really well together. You really feel like you're a team working together. You're not just individuals fighting, and you have to work together, and you have to learn the monster. You have to learn their deck as they're playing. You have to be aware of things that come out. You're gonna get totally decimated on one game, and then take that information that you gain from that and know what's going to come back out, and have to kind of play and organize your thoughts around how that particular monster is going to fight. So Steamforged made Monster Hunter World, and I would say it was a good game. It wasn't great in the sense that I feel like, and I've talked about this in my review for that game, but it feels like they're just turning these games out with these IPs, and they're not going super into depth with trying to create this really great game experience. They're trying to create a decent game experience with a big IP on it, and get people to pay a lot of money for it. So I think Primal was about the same price. It might have been a little bit cheaper, but it was pretty close to the same price for that game. You got a lot more monsters. Cool, new. They've kind of got their own art style that feels different than Monster Hunter does. So it stands apart. The gameplay is very different with it, but it is just a big boss battler game, and that's all you're pretty much doing. It's got a little bit of sort of storyline with it as you're getting set up to go fight the guy, but not really. It's mostly just getting into the action, playing some cool cards, feeling like you are playing as this asymmetric character working in tandem with another asymmetric character, or up to 4, I guess. And it's a ton of fun. I keep thinking about that because I need to get back out on the table, and I keep getting other games in the way. But I really,
it's hard. There's such this constant flow of new games and stuff to try. It's hard to pull that. Is that one take a lot to pull it out?
Yeah, kinda, because you have so many sets of cards for the different armor and weapons and gear and things like that, and if you're gonna start from the very beginning, you got to sort and find where all those are all at. I had purchased a 3 print model to make my own insert, which is really nice, and I can basically get I think I have essentially everything in one box. I feel like maybe I had I do have one of the other small expansion boxes to hold some of the extra cards in, but it fits like all my miniatures and everything in it. Really well. I gotta pull all that stuff out and set it out. I gotta find these cards, get all these little pieces together. That's really the majority of the setup. The actual setup of the board is quick. There's not that many elements, and then all the little scenarios. There's not that much. You basically have one big monster sitting in the center of the board, and he'll turn directions, and that's all he does. He just turns from north, south, east, and west, and then it'll affect a lot of things about the way your cards play and the abilities the monster's doing and how he's hitting you or whatever, depending on where you're at and your placement. There's some terrain and stuff that you will interact with, but it's fairly minimal, those pieces that are on the board, and the biggest part of it is just working with your deck and the different actions that you can play, and all the weapon types, just like Monster Hunter. It kind of copied that thing of having, if you're a certain weapon user, you're always going to be that one weapon user, and it's going to play in a very different way. Like the guy with the big hammer is going to play in a very different way than the person that has the 2 little short swords or whatever that they're fighting with. So it's fun, and Monster Hunter is my favorite video game by far of all time, and so this, I feel like, hit that itch a lot better than the actual Monster Hunter World board game did.
Interesting.
So,
I've heard a lot about Primal.
Yeah,
I'm looking forward to trying it.
It's excellent.
I've got a couple of games that I wanted to do an honorable mention on.
Sure.
It's not a top 10 list, so there's a bunch of stuff that I really liked this year that you should check out if you get a chance. One is Harrow County. Mm-hmm. Harrow County took forever for me to figure out how to learn it. He has, in fact, we did like 3 playthroughs, and then the designer would be like, well, you got this and this and this.
Yeah.
And then I just kind of did it again until I got it right. But I do have a really good playthrough that I think mostly captures the rules the way they're supposed to be. and it took a lot of effort. So you should please watch it.
It's a very, very unique game.
Very unique.
And I think that's why the rules are difficult. It's not like it's an overly difficult game, but for some reason, because the game is so unique in the way how it does things, that it just, your brain takes a while to incorporate all of that stuff, I think.
And I haven't.
It's very chess-like in a lot of ways.
Yeah. I mean, if I wanted to put it a little higher, but I haven't tabled it all that much because it's so unique. And so, like, learning a whole nother faction is kind of, going back to the well again. In terms of how your strategy and stuff works.
There's a lot of different, is it scenarios or whatever that you do in it? There's different setups where you're doing different things too, right?
And they kind of follows along with a comic book story. And there's all these different characters you can play. So we've only played 2 of the 3 or 4 characters that you can play. Yeah, and you could even take it to 3 players somehow, or 4 players somehow. I think 3 players, maybe 4. I can't remember.
Yeah, all the action selection is very interesting, and it is a really neat game. It's unfortunately probably not gotten nearly as much attention as it probably deserves for how unique and.
Yeah, it's a fairly new company that does it, Off the Page Games.
Yeah.
And they do
other comic book games.
Comic book games are kind of their thing, and really weird comic books too. The other one they did was it was that Hidden Movement game that I can't remember the name of. But this is the second one that I've heard about. I really like this. This is one you could play solo too. I want to think. Yeah. You can also play this solo too. So this might be one where you solo it a few times, and then you switch to somebody else and solo it that way, and then you bring somebody in to kind of try to teach them one of the factions or the other. Real nice components in the deluxe. Got some metal components and nice wood components and stuff. Interesting standees. Yeah, neat little game.
Yeah, certainly very unique. All right, and then since Sean's doing honorable mentions, I'll pull out another one. Not pull it out because I don't have it. But that's Fool's Blade is a little card. Well, it's kind of little card game that came out this year, and I haven't really seen it anywhere other than myself. I think from where I was interested in it.
Well, weirdly, 2 of my friends got my other buddy who plays games got it, and then you got it. Yeah, so that was kind of neat.
Yeah, it's a super unique game box. It's kind of goofy. The whole art style. So this is a guy that does like internet cartoons. I can't even remember his name off the top of my head, but he does some kind of like internet cartoons, and he decided he wanted to do a game. And so it's got all of these like zany little like cartoony guys that are the theme of it is that you're running out and kind of adventuring, killing monsters, getting points for loot cards that you're gaining, and you have this big goofy sword that's just pieced together with all these weird pieces on it. Like one of them's like a spaghetti sword, and you got like just all these different like handles and things that you're piecing on. So you got 4 pieces to this little sword that you're throwing together. And so the game box is also shaped like a big cartoon sword that slides out of itself, and it's got this weird little sort of secret component off on the little tray off of the side of the hilt of the sword. There's dice rolling and things like that in it. It's really fun. It's not a serious game in the sense that like I don't know if it's like super balanced or. I feel like people can get kind of lucky and just run away with the game really quick. You can play it with at least 4 people. I can't remember what the full player count is. So I think there's a lot of take that. A lot of it kind of reminds me of the similar vein of Here to Slay a little bit, where it's about that level of like, strategy and stuff. Like you're certainly going to be better if you've played it a couple times than somebody just starting their first time. You'll get familiar with a lot of the cards and stuff as you go, but it's
kind of a silly family weight game.
Yeah,
that it doesn't last super long either. It's good.
It makes you laugh while you're playing it too. Yeah. It's got a lot of little funny moments in it. A
lot of funny cards in there.
Yeah. So, but yeah, it's fairly quick if you play it right. I think when you played it with we played it together, and it was kind of long because we were being a little timid about going after the big monsters. But I played it with Ashley the other day, and it was fairly
Kind of like The Witcher, where we're just like milking it till it's a 5-hour game.
If you're too timid, it'll take forever. But if you're somebody that knows how the game plays, then you'll just completely whoop the other person if they're doing that. So, and then they'll follow in line with you, and it's fairly quick. But it's fun. It's a neat game, and it should be kind of around a little more. I feel like that game should be in all the big box stores. It just looks like that kind of game that Walmart might be able to get a hold of and sell. But
well, sometimes these crowdfunding games, they take a while to kind of filter down into the zeitgeist.
Yeah, I guess
stuff.
so.
You got stuff like Spirit Island. Did that start as a crowdfunding game? Spirit Island's kind of made its way into the mainstream.
I would imagine it did. Yeah, I would imagine it did.
So, I think I'm going to end it there. I had a couple more, but you know what? This video is long enough.
Yeah.
In fact, thank you so much for tuning in. If you made it this far, be sure to click a thumbs up for us. It really, really helps. And be sure to tune in to Organic Cardboard over there at Owen's channel, or subscribe to Pecktec Games, because we'd love to see you again. There's some more videos here for you guys to check out. Until next time, enjoy your games. We'll see you soon. Bye-bye.